It is 10:02 a.m. and this hearing for Ranger Development is called to order. Roll call: Frank Thorwald.
Bill Feierabend.
Stephen
Dale
Cooper.
Nations.
Dale Nations. We have a quorum. Let's get started. Dennis, do you want to brief us on the subject matter?
Okay, the topic of the first hearing this morning is Ranger Development's proposed well spacing exception for the 34-7 PD Pentadome area. This is a little bit different kind of well spacing exception than what we normally have, because Ranger is asking for a well spacing for one pool, namely the Coconino, because there are already wells completed in the Coconino in this section. So this would be the third completion, because one of the 34 wells is a Shinnerup well. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or
So,
TA well.
yeah. So anyway, he's asking for a spacing exception in the Coconino, and it's a kind of a contingency thing. The real goal of this well is to drill to basement and test what's down below the Coconino. But it could be that there's going to be opportunities in the Coconino to complete, and so per the rule, they need a spacing exception approval from the commission. So I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Hines.
Yeah, thank you. This is Tony Hines with Ranger Development. Thank you. I think Dennis focused it very correctly. I would refer to the well diagram first that everybody should have received. Does anybody not have it with them? If you don't, I have extra copies.
I'll take a copy.
Okay.
Also on my way.
No, it's in color. Might as well have one in color. The objective of the well that we're proposing is to go to the basement this time on the Pentadome structure. And of course, by doing that, we will cross every zone, that's possible in the section. The location of the section itself is a legal location for a 640-acre spacing, which would cover all zones except the Shinnerup formation. It's also at a legal location within the 40-acre spacing for the Shinnerup. Our objective, as Dennis mentioned, is actually for the other zones deeper, but should by chance we not find something down deep to complete in, we think also there is a possibility that, of course, there is gas in the Coconino, because we do have two previous discoveries in the Coconino zone in this section, in the 34-1 well and the 34-2 PD well in the structure. There were two additional maps sent out also separately with a filing that shows the actual spacing and distances, showing that the well is located within the legal locations. So we have a spacing, I guess is what we're calling it, exception, because there is only, by rule, there is only one well allowed per pool without coming to the commission to ask for an exception of more than one well to produce from a pool. So having said that, I'll turn it back to any questions.
Yeah, the only question I'd have now, what was the data that led you to precisely locate the drill hole where you're at with the idea of testing all the way down to bedrock?
And I'm comment right here that if it's, make sure that it's something you want in the public, in whatever your comments are, because this is public information at this point.
I believe it's public knowledge, the Pentadome is a structure, and there's obviously a high point on the structure. We had previously run seismic across the area, and the location is based on the seismic.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Picking a high spot.
Okay. So this location, this location is based on information in what the idea of testing the entire strat section that you didn't have when you were drilling your very first wells in this area.
Right, the very first ones.
Yeah, okay.
Correct.
I'm fine with that. I just wanted it stated.
Is there any other questions from the commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, I do have a question. Mr. Hines, I noted in your application that you had encountered water at about 994 feet. I see your plans are basically to cement that area up to surface. Is there any other water that you've encountered in this?
In the area, we recently encountered water in a well that was a mile away down in the Big 8 Butte section. But we don't know if there will actually be water in this section. But the Coconino, of course, is known to be a water aquifer, and that's the reason why it will be, per the diagram, be cemented back to surface to isolate that water from anything else in the wells.
You're not anticipating any other water in this?
There's some very high water up that would be actually behind the surface casing, also isolated. Very high being, it's essentially groundwater in the 40 to 90 foot range. That would be sealed off also.
Thank you.
Is that water brackish or drinkable?
The very high water that's up at 40 or 50 is livestock are capable of drinking it. The water down in the Coconino is not. It's like 50,000 TDS. It's very salty.
You've gotten your approvals from DEQ, or have you needed any DEQ approvals because of going through the water area?
No.
Dennis, do you have any recommendations?
My recommendation is the commission approve this spacing exception.
Is there any other questions from the commissioners? Do I have a motion?
I move that the commission approve the request for spacing exception on the Ranger 34-7 state well.
I'll second that motion. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Dennis, Dale, I didn't hear you. Was that an aye or a?
Yeah, I
Okay.
sorry, I was.
It's unanimous. It's approved.
Thank you.
That concludes the hearing for Ranger at 10:08. What's the schedule